Alright, folks, so there's nothing I love more than a nice day at the beach. Swimming, sunshine, and say whales. Wait, something's out of place. I don't know about you, but a whale attack is usually not on my beach day list. But it could happen. People have reported that it has happened. So, what would that be like? Let's assume you were swallowed by a whale. What would happen? Let's find out. So, there have been stories. Let's break them down, shall we? Today we will discuss incidents that occurred in the wild, in captivity, all the way to what it would be like to be actually swallowed by a whale. Killer whales, also known as orcas, are powerful predators that are capable of killing a great white shark and leopard seals. So why not humans? There have actually been many incidents reported since 1910 in which humans were up against killer whales. In the early 1910s, the Terra Nova expedition sailed from Cardiff, Wales, and was bound for Antarctica. On Thursday, January 5th, it was reported that 6 or 7 killer whales were seemingly attempting to tip the sea ice which a team was standing on. Fast forward to September 9th, 1972. A surfer from California, Hans Kretschmer, reported being bitten by an orca at Point Sur. This is the only well-documented instance of a wild orca deliberately attacking a human. Most other cases of wild whales are based on the whales disrupting the conditions of the water, such as creating waves that would severely shake the boat. A better example of this would be in 2011. The BBC documentary Frozen Planet, 18-foot boat was almost swamped by the waves a group of orcas were creating. Overall, the crew described the orcas as very tolerant of the process. Scary, huh? Well, what about in captivity whales? Wouldn't they be safer? While there have been no fatal attacks on humans in the wild, there have been plenty of fatal and non-fatal attacks when whales have been put into captivity. This leads us to talk about SeaWorld. SeaWorld is a chain of marine mammal parks located in the United States, which are famous for their marine features of sea lions, dolphins, and you guessed it, killer whales. There have been countless reported incidents since the 1960s of captive orcas attacking humans while in captivity. One of the most famous reports would be that of April 20th, 1971, when SeaWorld's secretary Annette Eckes was riding the park's main attraction, the original Shamu, a killer whale. Towards the end of the attraction, the orca had grabbed Annette by the leg and pushed her through the water. This would not be the only stunt from SeaWorld or other water amusement parks. The most famous incident would be on February 24th, 2010, when a female trainer was killed in Orlando, Florida by a killer whale named Tilikum, who has twice before been involved in the deaths of humans. This led to the documentary film Blackfish, which tells the story of Tilikum and led to much backlash for SeaWorld. Something else that arises out of this was the Orca Welfare and Safety Act, which was a bill passed in the United States in 2016, which phased out the holding of killer whales in captivity and established standard treatments of all remaining captive orcas in zoos. A lot of things have changed since then, making whale-human interaction less common. But my question still remains, what would it be like to be swallowed by a whale? Well, it is probably something none of us will ever hopefully experience. What is it like? You might be aware of the famous scene in the 2003 film Finding Nemo, in which Dory and Marlin are swallowed by a whale. I don't know about you, but I think it might be a little different than just speaking whale to get by. So, what is it really like? I think it would be wrong to bring up whale swallowing without talking about the 2 men who have recently experienced a similar thing. The first person we will talk about is New Zealand diver Levy Gavin. While experts seem to believe this was purely an accident, an orca dragged Gavin below the ocean surface for more than 40 seconds in early February of 2014. The other man we will be talking about is Rainier Schinff, who in 2019 suddenly felt the world go dark, quickly realizing that he had indeed been scooped up by a whale. "I held my breath," he said in an interview, and while he was only trapped for about 2 seconds before the whale let him free, it is still an unnerving story. He states that he was more afraid of being pulled down to the deep ocean because the throat of a whale is not big enough to swallow a human. After checking his body, Schinff didn't even have a bruise. But what does it feel like? A whale can swallow thousands of liters in a single gulp. With hair around their teeth to filter out objects and wildlife they do not want, it is pretty unlikely that a whale wants to eat a human. Due to the lack of fatal intentional attacks of orcas in the wild, there isn't as much of danger as people think. But let's have some fun. If we were to add a human in the mix, The whale would probably push the water out, then lick its trapped prey with its tongue. The whale would not be able to swallow you because whales actually have a throat 10 centimeters in diameter, which is about the size of a human baby's head. So, while you wouldn't be swallowed, there is a high chance of dying from the sheer amount of force when the whale closes its mouth. So, overall, what would it be like to be swallowed by a whale? Pain.